For center number 3, you're going to be working on the reading that we started on Tuesday called After 20 Years by O. Henry. And we did a reading, the first read together, and we started talking about vocabulary. So at some point while you're working on this center, I will probably stop and interrupt you and continue going over those vocabulary words with you. And then while you're waiting for me, you can go on and start the reading for step 2. So step 2, we actually started already. We did number the paragraphs, and that was just so we could start discussing the vocabulary. Now you're going to read the story again, and this time you're going to highlight in a different color parts that you either agree with or disagree with, things that you thought were important to the story, something that surprised you, or something that you're wondering about. And I would think that there should be a lot of things that you're wondering about because this is set up kind of like a little mini mystery. You may not find many things about agreeing or disagreeing here because this is a story, but maybe how a character handles a situation might be something you would agree or disagree with, and that would be something that you'll explain in your margin notes. Now, one thing to note, we found that this paragraph had 33 paragraphs. I'm not going to expect you to have 33 annotations in here, but I would expect that you would have at least 15 to 20. Because we're going to be looking at some important main ideas within the story. It might be a conversation, so 3 or 4 pieces of dialogue might be connected together. There should be some questions that you wonder about. There's a lot of foreshadowing in this. Now that you've read it one time, some of the things that you hear the character saying should stand out to you and start to sound a little bit suspicious. And then we're going to look at some of our story elements. Do you notice anything that points out the setting, characterization, any conflicts, the resolution, and the theme? Okay. When you finish this, and if you should finish all 3 of your readings before I come back to you, in This Week in Language Arts, you'll see that there's a link here to a document called called Characterization. If you click on that, it's a PowerPoint presentation, and you should be able to open your own copy of this. And we haven't really done any of these this year. I don't know if you did them in 6th grade, but alpha boxes I think are fun. Good ways to kind of review important ideas. So we look at what were some of the important ideas within the story. And we try to find 1 or 2 for each letter. And if you can't, it's fine, but just looking at main ideas. So I see Gold Rush would be one big idea that I would put in here. Mystery. They talked about diamonds a couple of times, and those end up being clues to something in the story. So you're going to continue filling up your alpha boxes. Give yourself 4 to 5 minutes, and then move on to the next part. The next slide asks you to identify some details that show the setting and explain how they affect the mood. The mood is very clear in this story based on the way the author chooses to write some of his description. So you're going to tell me what paragraph you found your quote and then explain it. And then again, take 4 to 5 minutes and see if you can't find some images. Go to Google Images and see if you can't find some images that you could paste here that kind of show you what that scene might have looked like in your mind. Okay, when you finish that, you're going to go on to the characterization video that I have here, and it's going to talk about looking at characterization by what a character, how a character looks, what a character says, through their relationships, what they think, and what the character does. These are the notes that you can find within the video, but the video might be a little bit more fun for you to watch. After doing that, you have some foreshadowing that you're going to do, and look at the character Bob. Where were some examples of foreshadowing that could be found within the characterization based on how he looked, what the author said about them, through relationships, etc., and identify the quote here in the paragraph number and an explanation about what it made you think of. The next slide is thinking about some themes. So I gave you a couple themes that could be found within the story. You're going to go back and explain throughout the story, how did one of the characters learn that lesson that we could maybe apply it to our life. If you finish that, I have a plot diagram activity for you to do at this center. and you'll find all the pieces that you need, and you may work with a partner at this point. And then the last thing you'll do is write a plot summary. I will come to your center if it looks like you are running a little behind. I might take some of these slides off, or I might take some of the different activities and shorten them for you. So that will be based on how hard I see you working in class.